What is up, Guardians? Welcome back to a brand new Builds in 5 episode. If you're new here, this is the series where I break down powerful Destiny 2 builds in just 5 minutes. Quick, clear, and straight to the point so you can jump right back into the game and try them out yourself. Now, today's build might look familiar to some of you because I've showcased a version of it before. But trust me, this time it's on a whole different level. With the recent changes and the right setup, this build is stronger than ever and it might just become your new go-to. So sit back, relax, and let's dive right into it. I hope you enjoy the video. The core of this build revolves around one key piece of armor, Gifted Conviction. Its unique perk, the Gift of Certainty, is what really makes everything come together. Whenever you activate Ascension or Tempest Strike, it throws out bouncing explosives at nearby enemies, jolting and damaging them, and on top of that, jolting those targets even gives you damage resistance, which makes this build both offensive and defensive at the same time. That's why everything here is built around Tempest Strike. With this melee ability, you can chain damage, control groups of enemies, and constantly proc the Exotic's perk. Pairing that with Ascension makes the loop even stronger. You'll always be creating jolts, explosions, and at the same time staying tanky in the middle of the fight. For the aspects, we're running Tempest Strike and Ascension to maximize synergy. This combo makes sure you're triggering Gift of Certainty as often as possible, while also keeping your mobility and offensive potential high. Now let's move on to the fragments that tie the whole build together. Spark of Resistance. When you're surrounded by enemies, you gain increased damage resistance. This fits perfectly with the tanky side of the build. Spark of Frequency. Landing melee hits boosts your reload speed and weapon stability for a short duration. Since this build is all about melee attacks, this fragment will be active almost constantly. Spark of Ions. Defeating jolted targets creates ionic traces, giving you more ability energy and keeping your loop going. Spark of Discharge. Arc weapon final blows create ionic traces, further fueling your abilities. Spark of Amplitude. Rapidly defeating targets while you're amplified spawns orbs of power, helping with survivability and team synergy. With these fragments, you're getting the perfect balance. More survivability, faster ability regen, and plenty of orbs and traces to keep the engine running. Everything is designed to make sure your Tempest Strike and the perk from Gifted Conviction are proxing as often as possible. When it comes to weapon choice for this build, the truth is it doesn't really matter too much. Since the core of the build is focused on Tempest Strike and your abilities, you can run pretty much anything you enjoy. That said, my personal pick here is Lodestar. Its exotic perk Starlight Beam fires a stable and accurate arc beam, which feels smooth and consistent to use. On top of that, the trait arc alignment makes it really shine. Dealing arc damage builds up the weapon's battery alignment, and once it's charged, you can unleash a hip-fired Starlight Beam that automatically applies jolt to enemies. That means it synergizes perfectly with our build, since we're already focused on jolting targets with Tempest Strike and Gifted Conviction. Before we jump into the mods, let's quickly talk about the stats I prefer for this build. Since this setup is all about melee, you want to stack as much strength as possible. Ideally, you want to reach around 160, that's where it feels truly optimal. Personally, I'm sitting closer to 140 right now, but even at that level, the build already feels incredibly powerful and smooth to play. Next, I'd recommend getting your class ability stat up to at least 70. Once you cross that threshold, using your dodge will immediately refund your melee ability, which is huge for keeping the gameplay loop rolling non-stop. As for the rest of your stats, that really comes down to personal preference. I personally like to invest a lot into super energy just so I can deal even more burst damage against bosses and tougher enemies, but you can easily adjust depending on what content you're focusing on. Alright, enough about stats. Let's move on to the armor mods. I'll try to keep this section short and simple, but remember, you can always pause the video if you want to take a closer look at the exact setup. On the helmet, I'm running Dynamo, Hands-On, and Harmonic Siphon. This combo makes sure you're constantly building up super energy from melee kills while also generating orbs of power to keep the engine going. On the gauntlets, I'm using heavy-handed stacked with melee font. This is where the melee synergy really takes off. You're creating orbs and boosting your armor charge every time you slam enemies with Tempest Strike. For the chest piece, I like to keep it defensive with Concussive Dampener plus Void Resist and Solar Resist. This gives you great survivability no matter what activity you're in. On the legs, I'm running Innervation to reduce grenade cooldown when picking up orbs, and Arc Weapon Surge for that extra damage boost with your Lodestar. And finally, on the class item, I've got Distribution, Time Dilation, and Outreach. Distribution gives you ability energy back when using your class ability, Outreach feeds more energy into melee, and Time Dilation makes your armor charge last longer, which is absolutely key for keeping everything flowing. Oh, and before I forget, let's quickly talk about the artifact mods. I'll just put them up on screen right now so you can pause the video and take a closer look at them in detail whenever you need. Alright, that should be everything for today's build. I hope I managed to explain everything clearly within these 5 minutes. But if I missed something, or if you've got suggestions on how to make the build even better, please let me know down in the comments. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see more quick build guides like this, feel free to subscribe. I'm trying to upload a new build video every weekend, and of course a like would mean a lot and really helps support the channel. Thanks so much for watching, Guardians. Stay safe, stay strong, and I'll catch you all in the next one.